because now, because of the exposure that these kids are receiving now, they are going to sleep around from 14 or from 15 to 18. Now
that was just it. It was like, okay,
how can you lose 15 billion?
How
Yes.
do you lose 15
Yes.
billion and
Yes.
it's now okay.
Yes.
So
But now they made it complicated for you to bribe a police officer, right? But they make it easier for an African leader to bring gold and they buy it. So because if you find your hands holding 2 kg, you're thinking about Europe, you're thinking about Dubai, because they've made the environment maize. Yeah. Because Zimbabwe is saying we can export maize to you, right? Then at 550. That means these guys, they are promoting. So we have to make sure, like China, if you are dealing with Zimbabwe, make sure this is the only channel. And lesbian, we don't want to pop the sleeping bear. It's now debatable. It's a free world now, right? But now, if you are saying America because you are promoting LGBTQ.
Okay, greetings to you all, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Uncomfortable Conversations. You are with me, your host, Lenny Blake Angel, and I am joined here with
Kuda.
Kuda. Yeah, so this is the first episode of Uncomfortable Conversations. Uncomfortable Conversations is where we discuss everything about life. This is the English podcast for you that are also tuned into our Shona podcast, where we just go and rant everything about Zimbabwe. But this one is the strictly English, to show that we are also in the UK speaking this English thing. So we can speak it. So today's topic is going to be more related on politics.
Yes.
I think I sent you something in the morning.
Yes.
And that was the age consent for sexual intercourse.
Yes.
What do you think should be the age consent for sexual intercourse? With girls or whatever.
Yes. I think it's a nice. I think it's yeah. I think it's quite a debatable topic. You can't, as an individual, you can't set a certain age, because maybe as a father you might say, okay, 18 years is good. Then as a boyfriend you might say, okay, 14 years is good. Then as a girl child, because if you see now the girl child now, you can actually see, you now seeing videos, seeing things that even a 13-year-old girl, they are indulging into sexual intercourse. So now it's for me, I think it's once a child starts to think for themselves, we better educate them. And we leave it like that. We have to educate them, because if you say 13 years old, now I've seen an instance whereby a 13-year-old end up framing an old guy like they slept with me. But if you look at the history of that 13-year-old girl, they've been sleeping around all along.
Yeah. I do think, because what do you think about the what's that, the apostolic church, those ones that wear the white garments, just going like, oh, I had a dream about you, so I should marry you or something like that.
Yes.
Because they always say, because in the church order, the young girls sit in front and then the old men sit in front as well. Why do the old men sit in front? Is because they want to look at the young girls.
Yes.
So do you feel like when it comes to especially things like that, because now you have a 13-year-old being impregnated by the church priest, who already has 7 wives that he married when they were like 16 or younger.
Yes.
So I feel like in that case, definitely you can allow someone that is below 16 or even below 18 to be taken advantage of like that. Because I don't think anyone that is 18 and below is conscious enough to, sort of like understand certain issues, especially to do with love, to do it. Yeah, they can easily be persuaded by like small things. Like if you grew up in the ghetto, someone comes through with the 2 kg of what, then you can easily be persuaded.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's you are correct on that point. And the question, I think the arranged marriages have always been there. Now the age now is now the issue. If you go in the Bible, arranged marriage has been always been there. Then the age now plays a part. So regardless, it's a church or it's not a church. Imagine if you are saying, okay, fine, for me, I want to find a lady to marry. Then, to be honest, it's hard now to find a 21-year-old girl who's still a virgin. If you want to look at it that way. Now, so the system now, if you are saying, okay, no sex before 18 years, it's all right. We are protecting the girl child. Now we are also disadvantaging people who are yet to marry these girls, because now, because of the exposure that these girls are receiving now, they are going to sleep around from 14 or from 15 to 18. Now we are saying I cannot sleep with them until they are 18. Now at 24 I have to marry that girl. So now imagine the impact. You are saying I'm marrying someone, I can wait until 19 years old, then I marry the girl, she comes home and you'll be surprised. You'll be shocked, the things that she knows. But for you, you knew the girl from 16-year-old, you were like, okay, I won't touch her until she's 19. Whilst you are waiting, she's exploring. So that would be the question now. If we are
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to that, the law should also make up systems, should also put systems in place to make sure that below 18, if you ever try and do something, so that we also protect them, so that we have more girls getting into 18 when they are virgins, and then they can make decisions for themselves. Because now it's a matter of, oh, I'm scared that my future wife that I'm going to meet when they are now 18 might already been doing something, but I was protecting myself and holding myself from going to her before she was 18. So the law now has to come into to hold and also protect everyone, because if the law does their job, that means everyone that wants to sleep with her before she is 18 is also arrested and whatever, so that in future everyone will know, okay, when they are below 18, definitely I'm not gonna touch. I think something like that can work.
Yeah, I think laws and policies can be adjusted to suit. And I think it will also now influence the the certain age that should marry each other, because now if you say go back to our past, if mom say don't do this, don't do that, now that thing becomes more interesting, because we are not even allowed to have sex before 18 after all, before marriage we are not even allowed, but because the pastors they preach about it, now it makes everything interesting. If you want to think about it now, if they did never said anything about sex, I think we're going to preserve ourselves more than now, because that statement of saying don't do it before marriage makes everything interesting. You see, now it's so now the age group, if I'm 12 as a boy and the girl is 12, we're going to have sex, but the person who's supposed to marry me maybe is 16 years old. They are saying, okay, you are not doing it now. So I think now if you are saying, okay, if you are 40, if you are 24, go and marry someone who's 24. If you are 15, go and marry someone who's 15. Because once I'm waiting for someone, what makes everything difficult is that the society is very easy. I can see a nude picture of a girl or a sex tape of a girl. She's 17 years, she's sleeping with someone. Now I'm not saying, okay, she's a good girl, though something happened. Now I'm also going to experience. I'm trying to say, okay, fine, let me go and date her as well, because I've seen evidence that she's already doing. So I think it's going to be difficult to enforce.
I think we can do like a whole further video on this topic. Also having other people, like maybe other people that are older and other people that are also younger, and see their views, and then it becomes a whole panel with like a lot of other people. So that was a quick diversion because of what we had sort of like spoke about in the morning. But now what we really wanted to talk about is Africa per se, and how the whole African economy has been, the whole African continent has been, and how it is now, and how we feel like it's going to be progressing. So there's things like slave trade, and then after slave trade we had colonialism.
Yes.
After colonialism, now I feel like we do have things like debt. I
Yes.
feel like debt is the new the new colonization.
Yes.
Because if countries come and say you owe us this much, that means you are now forced to give them something
Yes.
of you, maybe on your resources. Especially with Africa, it has a lot of resources. These people are not taking a lot of your resources because you owe them this much, and then they have terms for you that are just not the one. Like
Yes.
I think the new age colonization now is China. China coming in, investing, building you those power stations. Then in the end they're like, no, but we built you a power station, we want that mine. We want that diamond mine. We want to mine those
Yes.
wild animals. We want those zebras. We want those horns. We want all of those things. What do you think on, like that, those type of things, the colonization and then the new age? Do you feel like it's new age colonization, what China and them are doing now?
I think we can see it this way. Of course, it's a new age colonization or a modern day slavery to say. But then someone was talking and I was flying from Dubai to Switzerland, and someone was saying, just imagine that you want to run 100-meter race. Someone is standing on the 70-meter gap, and they say, okay, let's start. You see, already you are disadvantaged. And even if you want to say, no, let's make it fair, it's still not going to be fair, because some guys, their numbers are crazy. Let's look at China. China is at population advantage. Some countries, they have resources. Some countries, they have brain power. Some people, they have brain independent. Brain independent is whereby British, they think for themselves. In Africa, we don't think for ourselves. Whatever we are thinking, we have been given to think. So now it makes everything difficult. So we try to avoid debt, but we end up borrowing, because there's nothing you can do about it. You need to borrow for you to survive, because if you, okay, let's create our own money here. You don't have machinery. These guys have been building these things for the past 200 years. Now you're starting now. So either way, you have your diamond, but you can't polish it. You have to go back to China and say, guys, so you have to borrow something. You end up borrowing something. I think at the end of the day, it's how we take it. But we can't avoid it. It's a running trend for now.
But I feel like that will then lead us to the next thing of the state of African politics. So I feel like what you're talking about, that you eventually have to borrow. As African nations, we have a lot of resources. Like now, there was that documentary, the Gold Mafia documentary. All that amount of gold, although some of it is not like owned by the government, although the government takes a certain percentage of every gold trade and
Yes.
everything. So all of those deals that are taking place, and when you look at the issue of the Chiadzo diamonds,
Yeah.
Robert Mugabe actually came out on camera and said 15 billion has gone missing from
Yes,
the Chiadzo
yes,
diamonds.
yes.
And then that was just it. It was like, okay,
How can you lose 15 billion?
how
Yes.
do you lose 15
Yes.
billion and
Yes.
it's now all okay?
Yes.
So I feel like it has to do with the issue of corruption and how our system is run in
Yes.
Africa.
Yes.
So our leaders, they are not using the budget enough. They are not using the budget well. They are using it for like their own benefit, but
Yes.
they are not using it for what they need to use it for.
Yes.
If they were using that budget for what they needed to use it for,
Yes.
I feel like we would have enough money ourselves to you see, Zimbabwe has a lot of lithium.
Yes.
Why don't we have our own lithium plant where we manufacture batteries?
Yes.
And then we go to Tesla and then we say, Tesla, they are the batteries, come and buy them from
Yes.
us. Now it's more expensive than just buying
Yes.
a whole lithium just to for them to make batteries there.
Yes.
When we are talking about we do not have the machines to break down the gold, to break down the diamonds. we should have those machines because we have the money and the resources.
Yes.
But I feel like it's how the politics structure is run for us to not actually have that money.
Yes.
What do you think on the political structure?
Um,
Do you think it's hindering us in a way?
I think the political structure is, of course, it's playing a huge role. It's playing a huge role, and I was actually thinking like how best can we solve it? Because either way, if we put someone new, we are afraid of having the same of the same problem. And I was thinking that strategically, colonization plays in a different way. I think corporate, we are colonized. Economically, we are colonized. Strategically, we are colonized. Now think of if you are in the UK now, if you want to bribe a police officer, you have a question mark. You see, but these guys now, they've made everything. Corruption is here, but now they made it complicated for you to bribe a police officer, right? And they make it easier for an African leader to bring gold and they buy it. You see, they make it easier. That means it's still under colonization. They've colonized the system, the whole system itself. Because if you find your hands holding 2 kgs, you're thinking about Europe, you're thinking about Dubai, because they've made the environment easier for you to. You see, if there's a system of saying, okay, this gold is not coming through RBZ, we are not going to buy it. This gold is not coming through this central bank, we are not going to buy it. But now someone carries the gold in their bag. They fly all the way to Europe and say, I'm selling gold. And these officials, they are okay to buy it. You see? So now it makes everything difficult because the political structure is also influenced by the imperial system. So you can't do much about it. We are not giving up, but I think the solution.
So I feel like we should make our policies a bit lighter for international trade to also sort of like start coming, because I think we are at that 51%.
51%.
And a lot of businesses did not want to trade with us. How can you invest with your own money and then you only get 49% of your profits?
I for me, I think it's more of instead of we're talking about debt. If we are going to deals, if we are going to global trade, if we are going to deal, if we are negotiating with China, the first thing is, because we are more like global orphans, we depend on these big players. We are not independent. If we are independent enough, we'll be like, okay, guys, you know what? If you want us to supply with gold, if you want us to supply with maize, make sure you are closing all other channels that you are getting maize. Yeah. Because Zimbabwe is saying we can export maize to you, right? Then at $400 per ton. But the same people that you are striking a deal with, they are going to strike a deal with someone. Like, okay, I'll buy a ton for 550. That means these guys, they are promoting. So we have to make sure, like China, if you are dealing with Zimbabwe, make sure this is the only channel
that you are going to.
You see, you don't have to send people to Zimbabwe standing on the border post to wait for our maize. It has to be systematized. More than, I think these big players, they have more part to play in our economic growth more than ourselves.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Oh, so do you think, because now we have issues to do with sanctions?
Yes.
Do you think a country, because when you look at South Africa, they can do like free trade, although currently in South Africa there was the issue of the rand manipulation. We'll dive a little bit into that. But when it comes to Zimbabwe, we have sanctions. When it comes to the United States, we have sanctions. When it comes to the UK, and that's the whole reason why there was the whole gold mafia saga.
Yes.
It's because we are not allowed to trade our gold on the international market there and then. So now we have to take other channels in order to trade our gold. So it goes to Dubai. It can be labeled as gold that came from another country and not Zimbabwe and all of that. So maybe the ball is not in our hands when it comes to the sanctions.
Yes.
Like we cannot do anything.
We cannot do anything. But the question is, in the first place, if you are twins and you are fighting, then someone say, you guys, you are fighting, so we are not coming to school tomorrow. But we are fighting at our home. And you're saying you're not coming to school tomorrow. You see, the first, why are we receiving sanctions? Why are you giving us sanctions for the first place? Because we are having internal disputes. And you are saying, because you are having internal disputes, you are no longer allowed to sell your diamond in America. It's colonization. It's still part of
Those are the new age
You see,
sanctions.
you see, if we are saying America, you guys are promoting it's a debatable thing about now gay and lesbian. We don't want to pop the sleeping gay. It's now debatable. It's a free world now, right? But now if you are saying America because you are promoting LGBTQ, you are no longer be able to come to see Victoria Falls because of that. How are they going to take it? Of course, it's not going to change anything because they are a bigger player. But for us now, if they say that they're going to affect a lot of things, but now the problem is, are they stopping this internal wars, or they are making sure that I grow up as depending as it is to them? Because they put these sanctions when I was 5 years old, but now I'm grown now. I'm still there, and I'm still asking America for a visa, for a study visa. So the question is, why are they even giving it in the first place?
Because the land reform happened in like 2001 then, but up to now we still have those sanctions.
You see,
and those sanctions are also affecting the companies themselves.
Yes.
So they cannot do free trade and all of that because they are targeting. So I feel like sanctions should target the people that are causing. Because if you now target a certain company that is no longer allowed to do milk trade on the international market, now you are disadvantaging the average Zimbabwean.
Yes.
Because some minister and their kids, they should be sanctioned, rightfully so, because they are directly involved with it. But then their kids can now travel to other places. Oh, you're not allowed to go to America. Oh, I'm going to go to Switzerland.
Yeah, they're going there. It's crazy. If you say Robert Mugabe's family now, they were staying in Singapore, but they're saying he's under sanction. But me, I can't even get a visa to go to Algeria, in my African country. And for them, they're saying they're under sanctions, but they're going to America.
And I don't understand the fact that African countries, they have to have visas for you to go to another African country. But when it comes to Europe, they can, if you are in France, you can go to Switzerland, you can go to Germany, you can go anywhere you want inside Europe. But why is it that Africa, I feel like they are the ones that put these borders and these things. And then when they went in the future to their own countries and then they stopped the war and fighting and everything, they were like, let's create one currency, let's make it free for all of us to be able to travel.
Yes.
The reason why Europe right now is the most traveled, is the most tourist number one place, continent in the world, is because they are free among themselves. Instead of you going to spend money buying a visa for another country, you just be like, I can go to another European country in which I'm allowed. There's no struggle, there's no hassle. I feel like it's free. Africa, we should also do the same. I love what Kenya did with the East African side. You don't need passport to enter to Kenya. You just need your ID, which is brilliant. And they were talking about they want to do, and even Botswana also wants to do the same in Southern Africa. If you're from Southern Africa, you can enter Botswana without a passport. They are still in the works. But I love those type of discussions. Even Gaddafi, the reason why they had to kill Gaddafi is because he wanted one African currency. Because we are the ones that have the gold. How is it that nations that do not even have gold at all have a currency that is backed with gold, but we are the ones with gold. Yet we do not have.
You see now. So it's the whole system. The whole system is actually corrupted. If you see the system that they give us as Africa, number one is demand, number two is competition. Those two things they give platform for selfishness. Because the thing is, now if you are comparing, you say, okay, Nigeria they have better footballers than Zimbabwe, but Zimbabwe they have better soils than Nigeria. That means whoever has better soils want to protect their better soils so that they can look good when it comes to Nigeria. But you don't hear it in Europe. You don't hear them comparing themselves like Britain and versus German. It's only in Africa. Even if our schools, number one gets a prize, number two gets a prize. But in Europe, you don't say it. People, they can just get a certificate. Everyone gets a certificate. There is no competition. Because once you give competition, now everyone is protecting the small things they have. So it's more like the system has done that purposefully. If they know Nigeria has, you compete for the smallest things. Because, like you said, why do I need a visa to go to Kenya? But if you see our animals, they are the same. If you see our grass is the same. If you see the soil is the same. That means it's just it's the same. Birds they roam around. You can just say I saw this bird yesterday in Zimbabwe, but now it's in Kenya. But they did it purposefully. So at the end of the day, we can look each other in the face and say, okay, what should we do? But the question is, we have to. The hard thing is that these guys had leeway 100 years of moving forward in changing the systems all over the world. So we need 100 years to catch them. But now, can we? That's the question. Because if the brain power of Africa is here in Europe. Now you are the brain power of Africa. You are here in Europe, but you are now earning the minimum wage. So how best are we going to catch them?
Yeah. I think we'll dive into migration as well. But when it comes to a lot of countries, you will find out that Zimbabwe, Botswana, I think it's Zimbabwe, Mozambique,
yes,
they have that wildlife that circles around
the big five.
But then for you to actually go to those other countries,
yes,
it's difficult. You're not allowed.
Yes,
it's not made I like when Jacob Zuma, I feel like when it comes to South Africa, Jacob Zuma is the best president they've actually had in terms of empowering black people.
Yes.
He's the one that removed visas for Zimbabweans. You needed a visa for you to go to South Africa. But now you don't. Because of Jacob Zuma.
Yes.
Now a lot of Zimbabweans go and shop in South Africa, come back. Yeah, there might be a lot of other illegals, but then the South African economy is actually benefiting way more. That's why you see right now when the Zimbabwean elections are done, Ramaphosa is quick to go and endorse everything because he knows South Africa is benefiting a lot from Zimbabwe.
Yes.
So if we had that open trade, the whole of Africa, and we had to also develop our own currency, we wouldn't be fighting. Because in Central African religion, Central African the country, Central Africa, they were actually fighting Muslims and Christians.
Yes.
They were all fighting. And if you start looking at the documentaries, they were fighting for the little resources.
Yes.
So you have this village that has little water, there's little food, and they are all saying the Christians are the reason why we do not have food. No, the Muslims are the reason why. But all of these religions, they are not even yours.
Yes.
They are foreign religions. They didn't all come from Central African.
Yes.
They didn't all come from that country. They came from other countries that are not even in Africa.
Yes.
You see, so we are fighting over the wrong things because of the little thing.
Yes.
And I feel like I wanted to dive into the issue with borders.
Yes.
The way our borders were divided. When you have in Zimbabwe, you have the Ndebele people, they migrated from South Africa. If you are to divide a border, you would divide Machebele land with South Africa.
Yes.
That's the rightful thing to do because they migrated from there, and the language is a little bit similar with there's also a Ndebele tribe in South Africa.
Yes.
If you are to look at how they split Zimbabwe and South Africa, there's Venda in South Africa, there's Venda in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
So what are you doing there? If you look at how they split Mozambique and Zimbabwe, there's what do they call it? It's Manika, right?
Manika,
the Manika people in Zimbabwe. They have Manika people.
You see now.
It's like, so I feel like they that mind of saying, okay, so if we put a little bit of Manika in Zim, down to the south they put a little bit of Venda, down to the top we put a little bit of this, in the middle we have Ndebele, there we have Shona. I feel like it's gonna be, because in South Africa they have 18 languages, and now there are other countries that actually developed, because Lesotho was also born. There are Sotho people. Lesotho is just strictly Sotho people, but there are other Sotho people outside of Lesotho that are in South Africa. So that division is more of, we need to divide these people according to religion, according to their cultures, so that they will always fight. It will always be like, there's a Shona president in Zimbabwe. There will never be a Zimbabwean Ndebele president in Zimbabwe. Certain things like that. That's why Joshua Nkomo, even people know he's rightful there. The Shona people will never vote for him. So I feel like the white people, they knew when they made
I think you're right. They knew. Yeah, look at Europe now. If you see the Parliament of Britain, they have Indians. They have
everything,
but they're not fighting.
Yeah, they're not fighting.
They're not asking like, why is the Indian guys our prime minister?
One thing I like about Europe is they didn't divide the nations according to language.
Yes.
France speaks French.
Yes.
Portugal speaks Portuguese.
Definitely.
England speaks English.
Yes.
Every country speaks its own different country. That's how it should be. Zimbabwe speaks this type of language. South Africa speaks this. So if you are to divide Africa, I would go with the Zulu nation.
Yes.
Speaks Zulu. They are a country called the Zulu country.
The Swahili nation.
The Swahili nation.
Yes.
Swahili.
Yes.
They are Swahili.
Arabic.
So that those countries will unite each other.
Yes.
In terms of your understanding, because now if you have different tribes, there's already competition.
Already competition will never stop. I think if you want.
So our audio it cut. So now on round 2, uncomfortable conversation. This is politics and African history. We did dive into the state of African politics. We also went into African debt. We did talk about how other international nations are affecting Africa when it comes to trade, when it comes to resources, and how Africa can go moving forward, which is we said is a little bit difficult because other nations, they are just pulling us down. We need Gaddafi back. We need Gaddafi back. So now let's dive into migration. Okay, so in Zimbabwe we'll probably say greener pastures.
Yes.
Going into greener pastures, do you think is going to greener pastures okay, or is it not okay? Because I know in other countries, like in the UK, you grow up in a certain place, and then when you grow up in that certain place, you have friends that you went to primary school with, you have friends that you went to secondary school with. Those friends are going to be your friends for life.
Yes.
If you get a job in your country, that means those friends are your friends that you are going to also go to the pub with. Yes. You've got that common ground. Now you have someone that you've been playing with for 20 years and your relationship is just moving. But when it comes to countries like Zimbabwe, your friends, one of them is in Canada,
of course.
The other one is in the United States, the other one is in...
Of course.
You feel like that is... That's okay. What do you feel about migration?
It's an emotional topic because I've also moved from place to place, and if you want to look at it, this way, I always have why and question marks, because if you check the Americans, if you check the Russians, if you check the Europeans, these powerful nations, apart from the Chinese, of course, it's hard to go to a state like a place like Mfakos, and you see 5 Americans staying in that place. It's hard to see 5 Americans in one place, right? The Russians as well. But here, if you go to London, if you go to Newcastle, if you go, every place you go, you find a Zimbabwe. Every place you go, you find a Nigerian guy. So the question is, at the first place, this migrating policy, this migrating issue, why are we doing it? Like I think we mentioned yesterday that these guys, they created an environment whereby we are going to look for them. You see, they are no longer bringing ships in Africa to take slaves coming back to Europe. But they are just buying planes. They put in our airports. We buy tickets for ourselves. We come here, then we work odd hours. You don't see Americans flying to Africa if they are not going to Victoria Falls, if they are not going to Kuda Show National Park. You see, for holiday. So it's a crazy topic, really. But let's see how it goes. But for me, it's painful at the same time, and it's not constructive. It's destructive, because it's destructive a nation.
When slave trade was happening, other nations we're losing the manpower.
Yes.
The men, and that those people could have been the brains to build Africa further.
Yes.
So now I feel like nations are also losing their most intelligent people,
Yes.
their manpower, everything,
Yes.
to other nations, and a lot of them are even going,
Yes.
not for the right course that they did, or the right degree, or
Yes.
whatever. They're going to do something that is totally different
Yes.
from what they are actually
Yes.
employed to do.
You see.
So Chiango, he was the health minister at the time.
Yes.
Now he's just the vice president.
Yes.
Chiwenga.
Yes.
You are seeing migration of nurses from Zimbabwe
Yes.
is a crime against humanity,
Yes.
because now other nations, especially the UK, are stealing our nurses.
Yes.
Are stealing this.
Yes.
Now we are being, he is 100% right on that, but at the same time, the salaries in Zimbabwe are low, so of
Yes.
course the
Yes.
nurses are gonna want to.
Yes.
Because now if you say, I'm not gonna sign you off as a nurse to go to the United Kingdom,
Yes.
for you, they wanna go as maybe a nurse aide or a care worker, just because they want to live, and that money they will be getting as a care worker is way more than what
Yes.
they are getting as a nurse
Yes.
in their own country, in
Yes.
Zimbabwe. So I feel like certain things like that are the reason why we end up breaking
Migrating.
up. But then it's not good. You
It's
need
not
to
good. It's
grow
not good.
up with your family.
It's not good.
Because families are split now. Everyone, you can't even go to your grandfather's funeral.
Of course.
Like,
Of course. Of course. I think now I can be humble enough and talk about the political structure when it comes to migration as well. If the Arab countries, they have seen it. They have seen that as more as people are moving to Europe, especially for football, for hotels, better hotels, they are moving to Europe. Now they are saying we are losing our skilled managers. We are losing our best football players. We are losing our best golf players. In order for them to stay, let's build the best hotels. Let's build the best clubs here. Now, if they have a good football player in Saudi Arabia, he is no longer going anywhere because Ronaldo is coming to Saudi Arabia. So they are now able to keep their talent. So people, they think, okay, people are going there for money, but now as a nation, they are able to keep their talents. They are building 5-star hotels. That means if I'm a good manager, if I'm a good hotel manager, I'm going to stay. So when all these things is done, they will say we have kept our best talents. Because if you are a good football manager, where else can you go now? Where else can you go?
I feel like what you're talking about is what's happening as well in South Africa.
Yes.
Maybe now it's a little bit getting worse, the South African economy, but you have clubs like Sundowns,
yes, Kaizer Chiefs,
those clubs, they pay players from Zimbabwe. They dream of, I want to get bought by a South African club.
You see now,
players in South Africa, a lot of them, they are no longer going to this international. Maybe one or two go to international, but if they don't go to play for an international club like Manchester United, they're not hit with stress. Now I'm not going to be able to feed my family.
You see now,
because they are earning enough.
Yes,
they have endorsements.
Yes,
they have a lot that is going on.
Yes,
and the clubs have built.
Yes.
Especially the World Cup, it helped them as well. The clubs have world-class stadiums.
Yes, yes.
The clubs have world-class facilities.
Yes.
Their youth teams, they are up to par. Everything.
Yes.
And players don't feel like,
okay,
playing here is a disadvantage. No, they feel like, no, we are fine.
Yes.
We are fine.
Yes. You know, so it's always like that. You know, if you are good enough, people will look for you. If you are not, you are going to look for some people to help you. So that's what is happening to Africa. South Africa is one of good examples. If you see now, the World Cup had to follow South Africa because they had the capacity to host the World Cup. They are winning rugby World Cups. They are winning cricket matches. Why? Because they've kept their best players within their country. Now, if I'm a Zimbabwean, if I'm good at rugby, either I go to South Africa or I go to England. If I go to England, that means it's very hard to assemble a team that's going to beat a South African team. Well, these guys, they social life, they enjoy life together. They play together. They go and watch football together. They go and they attend each other's wedding, funerals. They have this natural bond as a team, as a rugby team. Let's come to Zimbabwe. We have 15 players. They are all in different countries. So Now, if you're assembling a team for World Cup, who's going to? You can. Someone is saying,
Now you have to call someone, say, okay, you're playing in the English Premier League, but can you please come and play for Zimbabwe? Please, can you? And then they're like, nah, I feel like I'm better off.
You see now. You can't plan it properly. It's hard to plan.
In Africa, you have Zinedine Zidane could have played for Algeria.
Yes.
I think Mbappe could have played for which country?
Cameroon. Right? Yeah.
You have a lot of players.
You see now, but no, there's no.
All this Saka, even back then, a lot of other France. It has Pogba. I think his brothers were playing for African
countries.
Boateng.
African Ghana as well.
He had a brother.
You see,
one was playing for
Germany. You see, it's crazy. All this because of people are going for greener pastures. But why can't we just say, so, there's few Foreigners playing for Zimbabwe, we went to Zimbabwe for greener pastures. You see. The system has been designed like that we have to move, this is slavery. We have to, no longer ships, no one is beating us on the backs, but you have to follow them. You're like, I'm here, I want to be a garden boy. You see, so it's interesting to look at it, but either way, these big countries have a part to play. But now they can't admit it because they are benefiting. Because no one wants to be a carer as a British. You don't want to be a carer as a British citizenship. As a British citizen, sorry. Now, if I'm from Africa, I'm okay with that. If I'm British, if I'm a carer, I want £21 per hour. But because I'm from Africa, even $1 is fine. It's okay.
And even in South Africa, they're also complaining because inside Africa itself, there are other Africans that are willing to take less money than other Africans. South Africa will be like, when other people from other nations like Zimbabwe come in, they are willing to take way less money. And South Africans are like, oh no, we don't. And then the employers end up saying, oh, we're going for those ones because they want. I feel like the last topic we would like to dive into is the issue to do with especially these things with COSs. What these what people are now getting themselves involved to in the honor of greener pastures. So you find out someone is living as a nurse in another country because they are not earning much, then they are going into your own new country. I feel like before we enter into that, we have to just talk about the stereotype of us being told that other countries that are not Africa, it's all well. Like if you go to the UK, you are eating nice, you have a burger every day, you have enough money in your pocket to do whatever you want to do, and then at the end of the month you can save 3,000, you can build a house back home. Everyone that's going to European countries, and then they are going so that they can build a house back at home. Because they have failed to do that when they are at home. But they don't know that when you are going there, it's not as black and white as it seems. Because people are always gonna tell you, you're not gonna call someone now and then they tell you, I know what, it's bad. It's so bad. No. Everyone will be like, nah, I'm doing fine. Until you ask them for money, they're like, nah, I feel like nah. You see. So, what's your take on people that are moving to other nations without knowing exactly?
I think the first thing is self-assessment. The first thing, before you want to do something, just assess yourself. Because now the problem is, the reason why I'm here is that people have told me how good is this place. Now I had to ignore my current situation. And I'll be like, okay, wow. You see, I have to assess myself first. Okay, fine. If what's going on with me, now I have to compare with the place I'm going. Most of us, we didn't research how UK is. We didn't research how much the rent is in the UK. We didn't even research how much is a beggar in the UK. We were only interested about the salary. Only. So people now I'm earning 2,000. I'm earning 1,000 in Zimbabwe. Now someone is telling me there's 2,000 in UK. I'm like, okay, that's a lot of money. You see, but you don't even know how much is the rent. You don't even know how much gas is. You don't even, because all these things we should also understand the reasons why they moved to Africa. They are claiming they didn't have land. They didn't have land. There's a lot of land, but that statement makes their houses more expensive. That statement alone. They are coming to Africa they are fighting for gas in Ukraine, in whatever country. That means gas is expensive here more than Africa. They are coming to Zimbabwe to buy maize. That means food is expensive here in Africa. They are not producing more agricultural wise. They are just doing experiments and they send seeds to Africa. So the same reasons they came to Africa for. These are the same reasons that are going to affect you when you leave Africa to come this side. So if you're not born here, that means you're going to struggle. Because the gas, they live in gas here so that they can enjoy Africa. Now you are leaving Africa to come and enjoy UK, which you guys are going to enjoy. So I think people should be honest with themselves. Even people who are here, they should tell people who are in Zimbabwe, like whatever. Right now we are having this show that someone can learn from us. But in Africa, who's teaching them? Who's telling them?
If you have a whole family, now you have to bring your wife, your 3 kids.
Imagine.
Then you want to bring them here. In Africa, you can rent a 1-bedroom at some cottage in the backyard there. And then all of you are staying in one room. The other one is sleeping by that corner. The other one is sleeping by that corner. The other one by that corner.
No social service. Yeah, they don't ask you like.
Here it will be like, okay, you have 3 kids. Yeah, they're staying.
Yes. You see, they can stay together. So at the end of it, you can't leave kids alone here in the UK. You can't leave kids alone. They have to be attended by someone. And in Zimbabwe, you just close the door, close the gate, and you go to town and you come back. You see, so people they don't even know about these things. They just rush to UK right now, and in Zimbabwe we can pay car insurance $700 for 3 months, for 4 months. 4 months. Yeah, you can pay £200 per month. Imagine,
just a month.
Imagine, and you are earning something like 1,300 per month, and
rent
it's 500. If it's cheap, 500. Insurance is 200.
That's like almost you'll be staying at Borodale if you're
in Zimbabwe,
paying about 500 there for rent.
You see,
you have a full house there in Waterfalls.
Yes. I think one of the things that people should know that if you pay 6,000 to come here, that money is not coming back. That money is not coming back. If you pay 6,000,
something coming back, because a lot of people usually say coming back is when you earn that much. No, coming back is when you save that
much. You say this is my 6,000. This is 6,000. You can't save 6,000 here and look at it and I'm a carer, so I have 6,000 here. You see, so I think people should do their own due diligence and decide if they are coming here, because now I heard that there's a plan every last Tuesday of the month that is sending people back to Africa if you fail to make it in UK. That means if they're providing a plane, that means they know that you're going to fail. You see, you can't provide something. They are waiting for you to fail. So imagine now if you are saying, okay, we are sleeping there, but this is the exit. This is the exit door in case there is fire. So at the end of the day, people are coming here, and we are here. We can't say we are coming back. We are here, but to be honest, it's a stressful environment if you don't know why, if you don't know what exactly you are here for. Some people are just here to after 5 years they get their paperwork done. But if you are here for the short term, I think if you are here for short term, it's not a place to be. If you are here for 2 years to raise capital and go back to Africa, it's not a short term to be. Use that amount to start a business wherever you are. You can't come with 6,000 and say, I'm investing 6,000 so that I will raise 40,000 and go back to Africa. You can't do that.
You can't do that, yeah.
You can't do that.
You need a lot of patience. And I feel like this also of people coming to work in the UK.
Yes.
I would sort of like say is a new age slavery, because the visa itself, the way it's structured, if you change your job, you have to reapply for the visa.
Yes.
That's kind of stressing. That's kind of stressing. But that's how everything is set up.
Yes.
But considering the fact that countries like Zimbabwe, South Africa, we were under Commonwealth.
Yes.
At least there should be different laws and rules when it comes to Commonwealth or ex-Commonwealth countries.
Yes.
So
I think if you watch the movies like Kunte Emancipation by, I think it's Will Smith. If you watch those movies, if those land barons, they have their slaves. So now if they are going to sell their slave, you go and you are sold to another white man, they have to change you a number. If you have number 6 here, they want to remove number 6 here, put number 7 here, or B6 here. That means it has to change. It's the same. You see, same process. If I'm working for from West Bank, if I want to go to Northwest Bank, they have to change my visa and my BRP number. It has to change. That means shows I belong specifically to this company. That means my tax is under this company. Now, someone who wants to employ me for that time, they have to talk to this current employer, like, you know what, we need someone, we need him, and they agree. Like, okay, fine. You see, so it's still the same, but because we are too hungry, men of bitter thing is sweet.
I feel like the way everything is structured, they are leaving room for a lot of taking advantage of people. So you find out a lot of black people here,
yes,
they are being taken advantage
yes.
of. You find you can come here all happy and everything, and you get depressed and kill yourself.
Yes.
Because there's no work with the company you came with, but you can't really leave the company you came with, because if they leave them, they're going to revoke your license if you don't get it. And if you leave them not on good terms, they revoke your license.
Yes.
They won't give you a good word for another company to hire you. You won't be hired.
Definitely.
Home. It's all like
definitely.
That. So it's just like
same cycle. But now I think before we should also highlight how us as Africans, or us as Zimbabweans, or just as Africa, to say, okay, fine, let's say as Africa, we are coming here to Europe, but our major challenge is not really the system. Of course, has downside, but then if you see, we are treating each other badly, because most of our employers, they're African, our African brothers, our African sisters. Most people who are facing challenges, they are facing challenges under their fellow brothers. You see, if you go and work for a British company, you are bound to face fewer challenges than when you are working for someone who's from Zimbabwe or from Namibia or from another country.
Yeah,
they treat you like, you see. So I think people who are coming from Africa and coming in, like, I know someone who has a company in Europe. You should really think about it. People are being mistreated by their relatives here. Yeah. But when they are coming, like, I know my auntie owns this company, but they come here.
It's a totally different
animal here.
10 against you. I know you.
And one thing you should know if you're coming to UK, to say, we have relatives here in the UK. Most of us, if you're home, you have relatives in the UK. If you come and you are thinking that these guys are going to help you, or if you come and say, okay, they owe you something, you are wrong. You are wrong. It's hard to come here and find a place to sleep, because whatever house they get, it's within their family range. So people, they don't stretch hands to help you now, because the system doesn't permit to do. You can't stay in someone's house for 2 weeks, because the system doesn't allow you to do that.
The landlord is knocking, like, what's going on?
You see, you can't come here and expect your sister to take you around, show you around for the next 4 days. Yeah. They don't have it that time. They can't cook for you. You can come here and say, no, I'm visiting my daughter, so she will cook for me. It doesn't happen here. You have
to announce if you're going to see someone.
Thank you.
Like, next week I'm going to be coming. I'm free Thursday and Friday. Are you also free? They're like, I'm only free on Friday, but I want to sleep. Now you're cancelled. Now you have to, like, another 2 weeks. Okay, in December, end of January.
Yes. Yeah. So I think Lenny Blake Angel, I think one of these days we'll talk about how this system, this European system or this UK system is actually destroying our culture, our values as Africans. We need to look at it, because if you see, even if you're a carer, now I don't respect a dead body. When I'm coming from Africa, a dead body is like something. What? But now I can laugh. Oh yeah, he died. Oh, okay. You see, so it's damaging our culture as well, and we should look deeper into it and see which other place, which other department, which other angles is it damaging, apart from the care to the carers only. Even the kids that are being raised here, they're different with the kids that are being raised in Africa. There's one of. So I think we should one day look into it deeply.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the first episode of Uncomfortable Conversations. Second probably episode, but it's like the first. We are starting afresh on everything, and by the time we post, we'll have a name for the YouTube channel. but this program on itself, you can see we are touching on waters that are a bit uncomfortable. So
Yes.
that's why it's uncomfortable conversations. So I think in closing, we can how can Africa go forward? Like, what can we do to go forward? Do you think if we right now in South Africa were to vote for Julius Malema, in Zimbabwe were to vote for Nelson Chamisa, Zambia they already changed, do you think things will change, or it's just another wolf in, you know?
For me, I think it's politics influence a lot of things, but at the same time, we need to. I like Malema, who's saying he's not a politician. He's an economic freedom fighter. You see, it's based on. It's not saying I'm a political freedom fighter. He's saying I'm an economic. So on an economic perspective,
Level, yeah.
You see,
and he does that.
You see,
because right now, whenever South Africans have a problem, especially with racial things or anything, who do they call? They don't go to ANC. They don't go to the DA. They're like, Malema, EFF, come in. And one thing you are guaranteed, Malema will come. I feel like he is the most consistent. Whatever he says is whatever he does.
You see now. So I think as an Africans, as Africa as well, we need to look into that. We need to focus on our economic. We need to make sure that we know what we are doing. I think now some people, entrepreneurship is fine, but it's misleading other people that we need systems for Africa to work. Okay. But now we have 2 million youth who are opening their own businesses. That means it's a small cupcake. But if you're an organization, it's a company with 500, if a limited company with 500 shareholders, 100 shareholders, that means you can do more than a small company with one owner and one secretary.
Yeah,
we can do more. We can achieve more. If come Europeans, it's good to be an entrepreneur. Elon Musk is an entrepreneur, but he's owning Tesla, one of the bigger companies. Steve Jobs was an entrepreneur, but you see how Apple is. So we need growth. We need a system. Let's say, okay, fine, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm joining with Lenny Black Angel here. I'm joining with another guy. We form a company. We have 15 shareholders. We are bringing our brains together. We create a system. Then we can go forward as an Africa. But now Europeans are giving us syllabuses to do entrepreneurship. They are dividing us each and every day.
Yeah.
You see, so we need
all those
systems.
courses. They don't really teach you anything that you really need to know.
You see now,
because I was reading somewhere, they were saying in Germany they are learning mining.
You see,
young kids at school, at high school,
yes,
they are learning, even primary, they are learning mining.
Yes.
But yet in Africa, you don't even have mining. in your high school curriculum.
in Africa, you learn literature.
You are learning
African
things
history,
that don't
literature.
matter.
You come to Germany, you are teaching a child to literature. They are coming to Zimbabwe, they are doing mining. So we should focus on what's really the problem for Africa. If it's economics that is a problem, let's focus on economics. If it's agriculture, let's focus on agriculture. But now, because we are being taught law and politics, we are just focusing on politics. But what's there on politics? But I think we should all learn from Malema. We should also learn from other countries like Arab nations. Now they don't focus on politics that much. They don't even talk about who is supposed to lead. If it's the prince, leave the crown prince alone. They don't talk about politics. They talk about how best can we move forward as a nation economically. Yeah. Now the World Cup is left. So which other thing that can bring the whole world to us? They continue building skyscrapers. They continue building bigger and bigger innovative structures. So I think we need systems in Africa.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our episode. Be sure to catch us next time on our next endeavor. And please comment, share, subscribe, share with your grandmother as well, because this is a topic that you would want to listen to, and your grandfather definitely.
Of course.
Share with everyone, share with your neighbor, share with your schoolmates. We'll catch you on the next one. Uncomfortable conversations coming to you from the Kuchando boys.
From the channel, of course, with Lenny Black Angel
in Kuda.
Yes.
Yeah. Cheers. Bye.